Welcome to GDs, and this is Godfather of Harlem, Season 2, Part 2. Morgenthau arrests Chin, as well as Bumpy. He tries to convince Bumpy to turn on Chin, letting him know that he has enough to keep him locked up. Morgenthau lets him leave for now, so that he could think it over. While Chin, in order to avoid prison, goes for an insanity defense, thus, he is shifted to a psychiatric center. Bumpy asks Mamie to inform Powell that he can help the government find the 3 Freedom Riders, who are presumed to be killed in Mississippi, as it has become a great thorn for the president in his presidency. In exchange, he wants relief from the federal investigation. Bumpy works with Chin again, asking for the help of his men, so that he can get the problem solved for both of them. Bumpy, in order to get the information, sends Ernie, as any black would have been noticed immediately. Ernie is able to get the information from one of the 2 men who were suspected for the disappearance of the Freedom Riders. With the information provided by him, the government was able to locate the bodies of the freedom fighters, thereby ending their search, as well as the investigation against Bumpy. Bumpy, knowing that the only person who could have informed on him and Chin is Jean Jihan. Thus, he kills him. He then asks Monsieur to take over the business of Jean Jihan, and he should get to work in order to get for him his next shipment. Morgenthau also had another informant, and it was Stella. But now, she doesn't want to cooperate anymore. Thus, without prosecuting Bumpy, Morgenthau cannot make a case against Chin, therefore, he is released. Chin, happy with Ernie's efforts, makes him a made man. Elise, spending time with Margaret, and getting close to her, she wants to tell her the truth, and raise her with Islam as her faith. Mamie, getting to know this, is quite upset and angry. Later, she has a heart-to-heart conversation with Elise, where Elise learns that Mamie can never have kids of her own. While Malcolm also talks with Bumpy, and urges him to let the truth out. All of them finally get on the same page, with Elise agreeing to allow Margaret to make her choice for religion when she is ready. Bumpy tells Margaret that she is his granddaughter, and from now on she will have 2 moms. Stella, though promised Ernie that she will not tell anything to her father about Benny, was not able to hide the truth any further, and she confessed to him. Chin first feels that she is lying to him, but after getting her story checked and finding Benny's body, he knows that she is telling the truth. Stella lets him know that she doesn't want any secrets between them, and she is ready to forgive and move on. But if anything happens to Ernie, she will never forgive him. Chin's men, who helped him find the truth, wants him to avenge Benny, as he was a made man. Chin shoots and kills him, letting his daughter know that now, this will be their secret. Chin, now knowing that Bonanno was not responsible for Benny's death, getting a call from him, is ready to work with him. On the other hand, Monsieur returning back, lets Bumpy know that he can get the supplies, but as this will be their first shipment directly, he needs to pay up front. Bumpy sits with the leaders of 10 Harlems, he informs them about the conditions for supply. But none of them have the ability to pay the money up front. Bumpy informs them that he will front half of the cash for them, and they can pay him later. Thereby, he is able to get all the leaders on board. We also learn that Bumpy, with the help of his lawyer, joined the Lenox Hill Society as a means to wash his money. But they are charging him a premium for washing his cash. Bumpy uses his home and business as collateral, and raises the money from the society in order to front the money for the deal. At the commission, Bonanno tells the families that the Sicilians are ready to supply to Bumpy, as he is buying 6 times more products than they ever did. But he has a plan to get it all back, as one of the members of 10 Harlem has joined them, as he wants to get away from Bumpy's shadows. Bumpy visits Morgenthau and asks him if he still has a deal on the table, but he lets him know that since he no longer works with the Italians, the deal is off the table. In addition, he also knew about Bumpy fronting cash for 10 Harlems. This makes Bumpy realize that someone is talking to them. In order to find out on who is the informant, they start keeping an eye on all the men. It is when Chance and Pettigrew see Sam visiting the Italians. Pettigrew also confesses to Bumpy that he stole some products from him, but he will pay him back. And in order to atone for this, he agrees to go to Sam to find out more. But Sam was able to see through Pettigrew's lies. Sam meets with Bumpy and lets him know that he is taking all the product and he also has the support of all the Italians. He also tells him that he will allow him to be in charge of Harlem under him. But if he thinks otherwise, he will have to face the Italians, as well as him. And now, he wants him to get him the remaining money, as well as Monsieur, if he wants to see Pettigrew alive. Bumpy goes with Monsieur to the exchange, but he was in no mood to bow down to Sam. Instead, he used it as an opportunity. Bumpy is not only able to save Pettigrew, but they also killed everyone who betrayed him. He then lets Monsieur know that all his money is in the trunk. Monsieur, seeing Bumpy kill his men, is not willing to supply to him. He goes to Bonanno and lets him know that he will supply to him, as he cannot work with Bumpy. Bonanno calls Bumpy, informing him that now he has the French connection. He also thanked Bumpy for making the payment towards his first shipment. Bumpy is quite disturbed for the first time, as he was already feeling guilty for killing Sam and the rest of the men, and now, with the French connection gone, as well as him leveraging out his business, he is left with nothing. Chance and Pettigrew kidnap Monsieur and bring him to Bumpy. But Bumpy lets him walk away, telling him that with him, he will get a partnership, which will be based on trust and respect, which he can never get with Bonanno. Monsieur, moved by Bumpy's gesture, agrees to supply to him. Having the French connection back, and getting to know that Bonanno has called the commission for a meeting, Bumpy knows that he is planning to wipe them out. Knowing this, Bumpy warns Frank and asks him not to go, while he gets to Bonanno's and takes him to the meeting at gunpoint. He lets the rest of the families know on how Bonanno was planning to kill them all. Bumpy offers Chin a deal, telling him that he can keep operating in East Harlem, but Harlem in its entirety is his. He also forces Bonanno's to retire, and lets the rest of them know that now they have to pay him to get their products. Chin accepts the deal, and Bumpy gets the payment. He returns the funds he raised from the society. Bumpy, now feeling more in power, renegotiates the terms with the society. Stella, feeling guilty about shooting Benny, confesses to Father Louis on phone, not aware that their phone calls are being recorded. Morgenthau, having this information, pushes Stella to inform on her father, telling her that if she doesn't, he will come after her. Morgenthau also threatens Father Louis, but he comes up with a solution. He marries Ernie and Stella. Thus, spousal privilege protects them from saying anything against each other. And with no body, Morgenthau cannot prove the murder of Benny. Chin finds out that Stella was the one who informed on him previously. He is very disturbed by it, but Stella tells him that her phone call with Father Louis was recorded, and she was being forced to talk, but they have handled it now. Chin asks Father Louis on what happened with Morgenthau. He tells him everything. Chin, learning about Ernie's marriage with Stella, is quite angry with him, thinking that he first killed his best friend, and now he married his daughter to protect him. Stella tells Ernie that she wants her father to know about their marriage, and that they had to do it in order to protect him. It is when Ernie tells Stella about his feelings for her. Stella also lets him know that she has also started loving him. Meanwhile, Malcolm goes on the radio, defending Elijah Muhammad for inappropriate behavior, which in reality were lies concocted by Captain Henry. With Captain Henry not being able to keep Malcolm in check, Captain Omar is sent to Harlem to get things in control. Captain Omar, being in Harlem, grew fond of Elise. Elise also liked Captain Omar, but the others were not happy, seeing both of them come close. Captain Omar proposes to Elise. Elise also feels for him, and after consulting with Malcolm and Mamie, she wants to tell him about her friendship with Malcolm before accepting his offer. But before she could, Captain Omar was informed that she met with Malcolm. Before Elise could say anything, Omar asks her to leave. Meanwhile, the shipment finally arrived. Chance and Pettigrew are tasked with driving the truck and bringing the product to Harlem, while Congressman Powell is able to get the Civil Rights Bill passed. But things in Harlem were taking a turn, as another unarmed black man was shot by the police. People started coming out to protest. While Bumpy learned from Morgenthau about a threat on Malcolm's life, he tries to warn him, but he rubs it off. Elise, learning this from her father, decides to go to the Nation to find out more. On reaching the Nation, she learns that Captain Omar and Captain Henry will be going after Malcolm tonight. Chance and Pedigree reach the warehouse in Harlem, but with the ongoing protest and the police coming down hard on the protesters, it feels that riots could break out at any moment. Chance wants Bumpy to come down so that they can decide on how to keep the products safe, as everything is quite tense. But before Bumpy could leave, he learns from his daughter about the threat on Malcolm's life. Bumpy asks Chance to wait at the warehouse as he goes to save his friend. On the other hand, Chin, feeling betrayed by Ernie, tells one of his men that it was indeed Ernie who killed Benny, and now Chin wants him to take Ernie out. It is when Ernie shows up, and in order to make up to Chin, he proposes robbing a bank, as in the riots everything will be blamed on the blacks. Chin agrees, and sends him with his men to get it done. Stella catches up with her father. She tells him that she married Ernie. Chin lets her know that he knows, as Father Louis already told him. He also tells her that he feels Ernie did this to protect himself. Stella disagrees with him, and tells him that she has feelings for Ernie, and he is just like him, and for the first time, she feels that she can move on. Stella wants Chin to promise him that nothing will happen to Ernie. Chin, seeing her daughter in love again, assures her that nothing will happen to him. Chin rushes to the bank to save Ernie, but as he reaches there, Ernie is shot dead in front of him. As the season ends, we see Stella informing on her father, and he is arrested, while Bumpy is able to save Malcolm. But the shipment which they got was not so lucky, as it is burned in the riots. Thanks for watching. And if you liked it, please subscribe.